So sleep. Okay, so now we're into sleep paralysis, and again, I love this picture here. This apparently it looks like it looks like it would come from the Orient somewhere. I would guess, not just because there's an Oriental man in there, but does seem to be the style of the rest of it. But that's
could just be a
beside the point, I guess. Or the guy, the Truthism.com person, could have drew this himself.
I'm sure it's a Western interpretation of what the East is.
You actually probably might be right.
Saeed Orientalism.
You probably are right about that. Actually, it's not a bad idea. Anyway,
this picture's it's cross cultural to me is because This American Life actually did you ever listen to This American Life?
I may have that I didn't know it was This American Life. I haven't listened to NPR a lot lately.
They just have like a topic and they go through like human interests or personal stories or whatever. They explore topics.
Yeah.
They were exploring sleeping disorders and they went through sleep paralysis. And in the Mexican community, like when you have it, it's called the devil sitting on your chest. That's what they call it.
Are you serious?
So this woman said she had it and she was freaking out about it and asked her mother, she's like, "Oh, that's just the devil. That's just the devil sleeping on your chest."
And how interesting that this picture is. Looks like some sort of demon or reptilian shapeshifter apparently essentially sitting on this man's chest while he's sleeping. That's pretty interesting, Henzi. But yeah, all I wrote down about sleep paralysis was that I've experienced it, and it's very bizarre. It's a very bizarre experience. And I guess quickly, maybe Henzi has got more than me, but I know I have definitely experienced this. I'd say 2 or 3 or 4 times maybe. And again, it was probably more when I was quite young. I know one time when I was young it was very, very bizarre. I was sick, though, so I thought it was something that had to do with like a sickness. I was very sick, had a bad fever. I just remember laying in bed, couldn't move. I felt like I couldn't move, and yet my eyes were open, and my mind was working on some level. And I kept seeing things on like the wall, but it was very abstract. It was almost like it was weird because I gotta say it was like ships or something but like ships in the ocean, but they were like not moving. They're not in the ocean. They were just moving on the wall. And so I don't know what it means or anything. I just chalked it up, to obviously being sick and just having a weird experience.
Yep.
And I don't really think there's anything more to it than that. But it was very bizarre. And then again, I do remember them. That was very young. And then I remember I was like a teenager. I was in high school. And I remember the light. And I remember it must have been a storm because the lights went out. And I remember all I could see was the window, the light from the window, because it was morning. So there was a sort of a faint light. I was just, and this was like really intense, though, way more intense, the most intense one I've ever had. And I knew I was awake, and I knew that was the window, but I could not for the life of me like talk or move. And so anyway, that's what it was. And so sleep paralysis, I've experienced it. It's bizarre. I haven't experienced it in a long time, but Henzi?
I've experienced it extensively. Not so much lately, but really it stems from lack of sleep, for one, and also disruption of your normal sleeping pattern. Mm-hmm. So it happens to a lot of people when they take naps during the day and they don't normally take naps.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, I don't know what it is, but for me, I've went through so many different experiences with it. Basically, your mind is completely active, but your body is paralyzed and you cannot move. And I've seen shadows on walls that aren't there. I've seen people faces right in front of me.
Wow.
I've heard
a shapeshifter, man.
And I've heard I think this could explain for a lot of paranormal people's whether they've seen aberrations or they think they've been abducted by aliens.
Yeah.
Because I've heard like high pitched noises in my ear that are insane. I've heard like demonic talking to me.
Wow.
I've seen I don't think your brain has the it tells you that your eyes are open and you're awake, but your eyes, I don't think you're really seeing what you're seeing. Mm-hmm. Like your eyes really aren't open on that level, because I've noticed it, because I've thought of staring at a room and I couldn't move, but it happened so frequently that I would enjoy, kind of like a trip. I would sit back and enjoy the experience because you're completely conscious of what's going on. And I noticed like the clock wasn't the same time.
Oh, okay.
So when I came to and I checked back the clock, I saw that it was like really different. So it was just like my brain's, I guess, had a picture of what the room was and interpreted it that way.
Well,
and also you can, if you try to fight this, it gets harder. But you can will yourself through it. Like because they used to annoy me because they'd happen in succession. Like it happened, that I'd wake up, then it happened again. Yeah. It happened like 6 times in a row.
Yeah.
So it was really annoying to my it was physically exhausting to me.
I will say that is a good theory that I've thought of too. That would account for paranormal activity and maybe alien abductions, because it is very disconcerting feeling. I remember it was very. It was not pleasant. It was not pleasant. So
I have physical sensations too, like
like dread or anything.
No, like of somebody like. I sometimes get it where it feels like somebody's touching my genitals. I'm not kidding.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's some sort of repressed sexual thing, or I don't know what it is, but I've also felt like people are like some like.
Dude, you're fucking abducted, man.
Like somebody's on top of me. This is the anal probe thing too, because sometimes it feels like there's something like being inserted in my ass. I'll go ahead and be honest about this phenomenon, and but it's. Yeah, nothing's happening. It's completely my body doing it, and I don't have any other thoughts besides that.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy that you really have actually felt those specific, like,
absolutely,
your genitals are being touched, and yet you're like you probably must be a pretty small segment of population to experience that, and yet still know that it's not anything, that it's not aliens, because. That sounds literally exactly like
alien abduction.
That sounds exactly like what everybody says when they've been abducted by aliens.
Like I'm being probed. They're
yeah.
fondling, to get information about. The realization I sometimes come to, which is to me is far more. This is an honest moment. Which is far more troubling to me than being abducted by aliens. Conscious psychology. I'm like, was I at some point sexually assaulted or molested, and this is coming back to me. This was coming up from my subconscious that way. I don't think so. I don't believe that, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, right. And the thing about it is, let's be honest. I mean, even if you didn't have some, traumatic experience, I mean, everybody's thinking about sex all the time.
Right.
So it's just sort of a hardwired thing, It's very obviously male teenagers and 20-somethings. That's like a thing you just can't escape. So it's always going to be in your mind on some subconscious level.
Yeah, I always wonder why. Because the first time I remember, I was like 10 years old. The first time this happened, that I'd see like floating lights in the going through my room, or I would.
Wow.
And I would.
It's like dead on. It's like a dead on. Alien abduction.
Yeah, and I didn't even I was scared, obviously, but I didn't tell anybody about it, and I didn't even think something. In the back of my mind, I was always like, "Wow, that shouldn't happen." Mm-hmm. So I didn't think that. I just kind of left it open in my mind, like this is something I'm gonna always think about and try to get to the bottom of this.
We should look into. This could be another topic, man. Yeah. We could look into sleep paralysis, a little bit more in depth, because this is a fascinating thing, I think. And again, the overall point is how interesting that of all places to find something that obviously people have experienced. Hensley and I have experienced this sleep paralysis. This is not something people talk about a lot. You don't see this a lot. Not to say that that people are scared to talk about it, but for whatever reason, just doesn't seem to get talked about. Doesn't seem to get written about, as far as I know. And yet, apparently, this is an experience a lot of us have experienced.
Yeah. And I've read about it. They don't really necessarily know the cause of it. Yeah. They don't know how to cure it. But if you're getting regular sleep, then
yeah, it doesn't happen.
It always happens.
I mean, I gotta say, it hasn't happened to me forever. It
hasn't happened in a year, because what used to always come on bad is like the back end of benders.
Yeah.
I don't do those 4 days where I'm just drunk and doing shit the entire. Then I'd come down, and that's when it would mostly happen. I could almost, and it's almost like it's psychological to some point, I think, because when I would say, "I bet you I'm going to have an episode tonight," I would.
Yeah.
And I don't ever think, because they haven't happened. I don't think about it anymore. I learned not to worry about them. I would enjoy them. Sometimes if I was pissed off, I could will myself think about moving my hand. I could will my hand to move and pop out of it. But sometimes it's interesting, man, to sit back, submit.
Yeah, right. Submit. Yeah, go trip through your mind, man.